What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So it's been a couple days, um, and well, it's clear we know, that Donald Trump won the presidential election, and I was gonna do a video yesterday, but when it come down to it, once I got home from work, I was like, no, I wasn't in the right headspace. I'm not completely sure I'm in the right headspace now, but um, I decided to just come home, kind of escape from everything. I got on Fortnite and just sort of just forgot the world, let out some steam on there. Um, didn't record anything yesterday, even for uh, JMD play or anything. So this is just going to be me the, sort of talking about how I feel, about the election and everything. And about what's going forward, and um, just how I feel about it all, right? So okay, so yeah, he won. It there's been this, you know some, making a big, making a big deal about it, like he, like won majorly, like it was a landslide. uh the more and more that I look at it, it clearly was not a landslide. Um, it was he kind of barely nudged it out. It looks like a landslide because not only did he win the presidency, but it looks like what the Senate definitely flipped, in the Republican for the Republicans, and even the House is on the edge of it. We were just that still there's still quite a few seats left to go there. Um, so in the grand scheme, it looks like it was a major victory. And in the grand scheme, it was. But as far as just Trump himself, it was not really a landslide. Um, as a matter of fact, I mean, he hasn't. He technically, the rhetoric is like he has won. Like he's done better than he ever has done. That's the kind of the way it feels. That people are talking about, like, oh my gosh, it's just crazy how much he won here. It's the biggest he's ever won. No, it's not actually. He, as of right now, he still hasn't even reached his popular vote number of 2020. Not yet. He's still like uh about 150. I want to say about 150,000, actually a little bit more than that, about 180,000, I think. Um, from that, no, I'm sorry, a million and oh my gosh, let me pull this up real quick. Yes, 1 million, roughly 1,300,000 something. Okay, yeah, so 1,300,000, or rough, give or take, 1,300,000, so give or take, left, below what he did in 2020. He had 74,224 in 2020. He's got 72,894 right now. Now, granted, there's still some votes to be counted. There's a good many votes to be counted, yeah, especially in Arizona. Uh, but also in Nevada and in California and stuff. So he potentially could reach in the 74 that he got in 2020. But there again, that just means he kept what he had, you know, or either what he did flip to his side, he also lost on his side. Either way, however you want to look at it, he did. He didn't do better. Um, it's just that the Democrats just did so much worse. I mean, we're talking right now. Uh, Kamala's at 68,000, where Biden had 81,000. That is a whole 12,000. I mean, sorry, 81 million to 68 million. It's a whole 12 million difference. 12 million votes difference. Uh, now, now, sorry, my I got to. There's still quite a many and quite a few left to be counted, especially in California. And there's that's a good. I think there's a good 5 million or more just in California alone. Uh, maybe maybe way more than that. Maybe more closer to 10 million. So that number could go up. I mean, like I said, right now Donald Trump is holding the popular vote, but Harris could still wind up getting the popular vote, depending upon how it all comes down in California, and also Oregon, Washington State. All of those are still there's still a lot of votes to be counted. There's even still quite a bit in Colorado left to be counted. Pretty much everybody else is solid though. Uh, so we're nowhere close as far as like getting the final popular votes right now. Probably still another. It could be next week before we hear anything about that. But clearly, I was wrong. Um, I was looking at the more recent polls and stuff, which I'm not really that big on polls, but the way some of the outgoing polls and stuff from the early votes and stuff like that. Sorry, something in my throat. Um, it was looking like it was going to be more in Harris's favor. It just did, and uh, and I admit I thought more about I thought that the abortion issue was going to be a big thing, which I think it was in the states that it you know those the abortion issue was on the ballot. But I think what I didn't think about, and I don't know why I didn't, but what I didn't think about is the fact, and I don't think I've even heard anybody come up or even say anything about this particularly, is that even in those states where you could have had quite a few of conservatives, someone that would normally go for Trump, uh, may have voted in favor of abortion rights, but also still voted for Trump. Uh, it's kind of like I could see in their mind, they probably thinking, well, yeah, I don't like the abortion issue with the Republican Party. I want to enshrine that, but everything else I like about the Republican Party. I could see that like being something, and I didn't think about that before, and that apparently was quite an overwhelming thought in the minds of even those who consider abortion a major issue. Um, so that I took that for granted and didn't think that one through. Um, But there was a lot of people who did come out. I was thinking uh, that, and like I said, we still don't have the final results to know exactly if it's, we did have less turnout or more. I was thinking there would be an exceptionally more turnout this year, even than 2020. It looks like it was maybe the same. Could have been a little bit less, which, anytime there is less turnout, Democrats suffer from that. Because unfortunately, the ones who don't show up are usually Democrat. Republicans are like steadfast, patriotic, like they take voting seriously. Where Democrats, unfortunately, or people that are more left leaning, don't necessarily. Um, of course, that's somewhat is a little manipulated state to state, especially if it's depending upon if it's a blue state or red state, like normally, especially in red states, Democrats don't really go that hard. Um, Even if they uh, did want to vote, a lot of them probably like it doesn't matter in this state because which that's another issue. Even I've talked about Mississippi right now. Mississippi stands at 61-37. Uh, but the turnout, and while there was actually better turnout in Mississippi this year than in 2020. In 2020, though, it was only like um, I want to say 55% of the registered voters or something like that. So we may have had close to 60% this year, but that's still a whole lot of voter base that's not showing up. And I'm almost willing to guarantee you the majority of that is Democrat. Um, and so it's like, or out, at least half of it, if not more. I would say majority of that. Uh, that's the reason why I actually think if more people actually did get out there to vote, even in Mississippi would potentially, look closer to one of these other like Georgia or Pennsylvania or whatever. But anyways, so yeah, I was wrong. My predictions did not come true. Not only did she not win bigger than most people thought, which is what I thought she would do. Uh, she didn't win at all, and a lot of people have come up with all these different you've heard on it probably heard all the cope and everything on like MSNBC, CNN, stuff like that. Blaming everybody and their mother. Uh, I would say that it probably comes down to several different things, but I think a majority of it was the Harris campaign. Although I think they did um, a decent job for having the limited time that they did. Uh, I think that the period for two things, or at least two main things, the period that the Biden sort of team took over and played the whole Cheney thing and the Republican thing or whatever, I feel like that was a waste. That was a complete waste. I've said it even before that it was a complete waste. I hated it. It was stupid. I think that wasted a lot of momentum, a lot of time. I think it hurt the momentum. I think it put off a lot of people who potentially would have voted for her. Um, so that's one thing. And then secondly, her not really pushing to distinguish herself from Biden, which I thought was a horrible decision on her part. She should have been trying to distance herself as much as possible because that would have helped what ultimately seemed to be come out of this election was that people just were unhappy of the situation in the country, which we knew. But that ultimately became the biggest thing, is that people are unhappy with, the economy and the situation, the way the, country is going. And that directly was in the face of Biden. And unfortunately, her too, because she was VP. Now, my opinion, I know that she didn't have much of anything to do with that. VPs don't. They just don't. They don't have influence in that. They just kind of have to go along to get along and go, whatever, or just go along to go along, whatever that case. But her not taking the time to fully, which I think she felt pressure to try to be respectful to the Biden administration and her part in it, and uh, not trying to step on his so-called legacy. Is the reason why she didn't, but I think that ultimately hurt her. I think she should have distanced herself as much as possible, respectfully. She could have been like, look, I respect Biden and his opinions and how he wanted to run, the country the past 4 years, but here's what I'm going to do different. And, state that out and be definitive about it, where you're going to be different. And you could have went line by line, policy by policy. This is what Biden did. This is what I'm going to do. And literally put a major distinction in it. That's something that, and it would have helped if he would have actually been on board to be like, look, you know what? He would have come out to her and been like, look, you know what? Hit me on this, this, and this. I'm good with it. Go ahead. That's probably not the best things in my, that I've done. So hit me on these things. He could have thrown a bone to her to try to help her, give something to differentiate herself instead of trying to make it, because clearly people didn't like him. Or, and it was, the majority of it was because of his age and, the fact that people just didn't feel like he was going to be able to handle another 4 years. But it was also because of, the state of the country and how people felt about it, regardless of whether, we could see and have seen an improvement in the economy. People don't feel it, or they're not translating the feeling. They're still feeling. Technically, what their rhetoric is, what they're feeling is what, and what they talk about is where the economy was about 6 months ago. Maybe even 3 or 4 months ago. Right now, because people keep throwing up these weird, things like the price of this, the price of that, or whatever. Well, actually, those prices are down. Their prices are down quite a bit. The cost of groceries is not near about as high as it was just 4 or 5 months ago. Now, is it down necessarily to where it was, before the inflation and everything? No, but it's not that far off. Okay, it's just not. It's not that far off. And you can't go back and talk about times during COVID. Prices during COVID were also an extreme. Okay, an extreme in the other direction. Okay, so this is a whole different. You can't go back. It's what people always, Trump supporters always throw up. Well, the prices during Trump was this, and they're claiming something from, the worst part of the pandemic when everything was low. The prices of everything were low because everybody, the economy was in a stalemate. You can't state that. That's not a normal situation. Before COVID, the prices were higher than that. They were. They were not too much lower than what they are now. Uh, I'm sorry, but you're just wrong. Now, there are specific fields where pricing is still inflated. True. Yes. Some major fields, housing for one, is and rent and everything. Yes, that is still majorly inflated. Um, there's some major markets of things that are still inflated. Cars are still inflated, but groceries, not so much. Maybe a know item here, an item there, but most of your groceries have actually come down. I'm sorry, but they have. Um, they still need to come down some more. True, but they are down. So if you keep claiming that we're still having super high prices in groceries and stuff, you're just wrong. Um, so I feel that these things, and people are the mindset where a lot of people are, is they're thinking months ago instead of really what's actually happening right now. So the feeling of it is like, oh, I'm still paying this, whatever. Or I did pay this at one time and I still feel like that's what I'm doing when you're actually not. You're just really not paying attention to it. Um, I'm sure somebody will say gas. Gas is down, not quite as low as it needs to be. I think roughly if it was more around the 225, 230 area, it would be where it was before pre-pandemic. Just around 270 here, 280. So yeah, there's a bit there that still needs to come down, but that's a lot of that has to do with what's going on overseas. So if you want that to come down, then you need to be talking to Trump to get the war to end. Uh, and I'm talking about both. I am worried, if I'm being honest. I'm worried about. I'm truly hoping that Trump does not do what his rhetoric, the things that he spoke of. I actually hope he does not do at all. Um, I hope that a lot of the divisive, bigotry, the negative things he spoke of with the immigration and everything. I actually hope he doesn't do any of it. I hope that a lot of it, the rhetoric that he spoke of on and things he said that he was going to do, was just a lot of flamboyant, like hyperbolic stuff just to get particular votes, to get his base riled up and to get those and to make sure he had those votes. And kept that, that urgency of his voters to come out and vote. To keep that fear and that hate that apparently is inherent in half of fucking America. Uh, I hope that he doesn't. I hope that he mostly focuses just on himself. Honestly, I really hope. Somebody else said this earlier today. I saw it. I agree. I hope that he focuses on himself. I hope he's selfish as hell and focuses all on himself. That he just did this just to make sure that he could get out of his legal issues and, whatever. Like, if that's all he cares about and focuses on, that will probably save the country from any craziness that the Republic or sections of the Republican Party would like to do. Um, Because if they actually implement and do things that I'm afraid that they want to do, uh, it's amazing to me how so many people in this country continuously vote over and over again for things that go against their own interest, that go against things that would actually help them. They talk about how much they hate elitists, or that they, you know, can't stand the, you know, how much the rich have the money and you don't have anything or whatever. Like they talk about how much they want to get rid of all the elites, but then they turn around and vote in and support things that actually help the elite and defend things that help the elite. And their defense of that is because, well, if we help the elite, then eventually it could help us. The whole trickle down thing. But at the same time, they want to argue about how bad it is and how bad the elite, have caused issues. It's the cons, cons, conservatives and Republicans just talk themselves in circles about things that they care about, but yet then turn around and support. It's like completely opposite of each other. At least when it comes to the economy. I I don't know. I'm worried for women's rights. Really, any minority rights. Uh, it's just there's so many. Anyways, hopefully, like I said, that hopefully all the things that we are that you know people from the more progressive left or even the Democratic Party, hopefully the things that has been said that we worry about and our concerns actually don't really come to fruition. Hopefully this is the most boring next 4 years of presidential action. Uh, but I think we all know that that's not true, or not going to be true. Um, anyways, thank you very much for joining me. I know this is long and just probably boring, and you probably turned it off 20 minutes ago. But if you didn't, thank you very much for your time while I just talk. Um, I will continue to talk about things. I'm going to keep channel going. We're going to continue talking about the different subjects we talk about here, and we're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about the things that Trump does. We're going to talk about things that the administration does, that the Republicans do, whether it's Senate, House, or bills and or foreign affairs, whatever whatever's engaged in and needs to be talked about. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to hold. I'm going to hold I'll hold them in check, at least here on the channel. Even if I don't have any real um, ability to do anything, at least right here, I'm going to hold them in check and talk about what they're doing and whether it is in line with what they said they were going to do, or if it was more in line with what I said they were going to do, or what the left has been saying that they're going to do. So, if you're interested in that and want to hang in, please consider subscribing, like, comment, all that good stuff. And let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about the election. Whether it went your way, whether it didn't. Um, what are your concerns? Or I guess, well, what are you happy for? Let me know. Thank you very much. And until next time, in ClearTalk. Peace. I'm out.